This is Kerivan here. So I'm in the swamp behind my house. So what's the difference between a swamp and a pond, you're wondering? If you look around, all you see is a little bit of water and a lot of trees and smaller bushes. I think this might actually be a blueberry bush in front of me. But swamps are usually lowlands in the forest that get filled up with a little bit of water. And it's surrounded by just trees. There aren't any cattails, anything like that. It's all just woody shrubs and trees. Alright, so I am at my swamp, and I've been hearing the frogs lately. So I wanted to see if I've got any frog eggs in my swamp. So I put on my waterproof boots, and I brought a tank with me. And I've got the tank to put stuff in, but also to help me see under the water. I'll show you kind of a cool trick with that. And I got a little container that I can scoop some water with, see what's in the water here. So if you get a clear container, and you stick it into the water, you can actually help you see underwater. So let me see, I found some frog eggs over here. Let's see if I can help you see them. Here they are. So, you guys see that glob of jelly underneath the water? So those are frog eggs. I think they're wood frog eggs because that's the kind of frog that I've been hearing. I'm going to take some out and show them to you and see if you can get a better look. So hold on one second here. So here are some frog eggs that I just took out of the swamp. Each one of those little black dots is an egg. So there's probably maybe close to 100 eggs here. I'm not sure. That's my estimate. There's a lot of eggs in this glob. So each of those little dots is going to turn into a tadpole. And then that tadpole will eventually get some legs and turn into a froglet, which looks like a frog but has a tail still. And then that froglet will turn into a frog. So these are some eggs. Let's see what else we can find in the swamp. So a good way to find stuff in a swamp is to take a container with you and just take a scoop of the water out and see what comes. Let's see if I got anything in there. Let's see, nothing that time. So I'm going to do a few scoops and get some critters and see what I can show you, alright? Alright, so it's starting to rain in my swamp, so I'm going to bring what I found inside so that we can take a closer look. I saw a green frog, but I wasn't able to catch him. If I came out on a sunny day, I'd probably see some more frogs and things like that, maybe a snake. There's some bigger critters that come around here too. Today I haven't seen very many. I've only seen one frog for bigger animals. But I'm going to take what I found inside. I got my tank with some little critters in it. I'm going to take them in and we're going to get a closer look at what I've got in there. Okay, so I've brought all those animals inside, and this is what I found in those scoops of water. In this cup here, we have what are called diving beetle larvae. You can see this guy standing there. Look at him from the top, too. So these guys are predators. You can see the mouth on that one. It's got some nice mouth parts there to catch other animals. So these guys are predators, and they're going to spend a few months like this, I believe. And then they will turn into an adult diving beetle, which is in this cup. See this black beetle here? So these guys are kind of cool. If we look at the bottom of this guy, as he swims around, he's got an air bubble on his bottom. You see that shiny part? That's an air bubble. So this guy can breathe underwater. He goes up to the surface, grabs some air, and then he can go swim under the water because he's got an air pocket underneath him. So they're pretty cool. And they're actually predators too. In this cup here, I've got a leech. So leech is a kind of a worm, but it's not really like an earthworm because it doesn't eat the ground. This is a leech and it eats blood. It'll actually feed on the blood of a deer. If I can get him to move a little bit. Doesn't want to move too much. But they have a mouth part that will actually stick on to an animal as it walks through the swamp and try to grab onto it. But I can't get him to move. He doesn't want to move right now. He was trying to swim around before, but... Okay, in this cup over here, I've got what's called a back swimmer. It's another kind of bug. So let's see, watch him swim around, and then we're going to go below here. So this one, when he comes around, he's actually swimming upside down. There's his face right there. He's looking at you. So he's upside down. That's why they call him a back swimmer, because he swims on his back. And if you've noticed, he also has a shiny air bubble on his back. So he can go underwater with that air bubble to help him breathe. See how he's kind of shiny on the side there? That's the air bubble. In this cup, I have got some freshwater crustaceans. So these are related to shrimp and lobster. I'll get a closer look here. And their name is Gamaris. Look from above too. So they're kind of like little shrimp, little freshwater shrimp. There's a ton of these guys in my swamp. They eat all the dead leaves and anything else that might be on the bottom. So they're bottom feeders. And they filter out the water too, but mostly they'll eat the dead leaves. So over in this one, I've got, I get to focus, some isopods. There they are. These are freshwater isopods. They got a bunch of little legs on the bottom, and they are also the bottom feeders. So there's a ton of these guys in my swamp too. Let me move my light over. In this cup, I have got a mosquito larva. So right now there's a good amount of mosquito larvae in the swamp. So they're getting ready to turn into adults once it gets a little bit warmer out. So these guys just kind of float around and they eat algae and things in the water. There he goes. That's his head is on the bottom. He hangs upside down from the water. You see that little tiny thing swimming by? It's hard to see. But there's other little tiny critters in the water too, which are kind of hard to see with my camera here, but you'd be able to see them with your eyes and with a microscope for sure. But those little tiny things that swim around are called copepods. Let's see, this cup I've got a dragonfly larva. So there's a baby dragonfly in this cup. So he actually will eat those mosquito larvae, which is one reason why I love dragonflies. He's a predator, so he'll spend a while in the water as a larva and then turn into an adult. Some dragonflies actually spend a few years as larvae, depending on how cold the environment is. They can spend sometimes up to 3 years in this stage. They just get bigger and bigger as they get older. So that's a dragonfly larva. In this cup, I have caddisfly larvae. They have built little houses. See that spiky thing, the pine needle spiky thing? That's a house for a caddisfly. I'm going to move this leaf out of the way and see if he'll come out. Let's see. There he is. He's sticking his head out. He's like, why'd you take my leaf away? So this is a caddisfly larva. He's built his house. Some of these guys are predators and some of them aren't. I'm not sure if this one's a predator or not. So he'll spend some time as a larva and then turn into an adult caddisfly. But they build houses. This one built it out of, looks like little pieces of pine needle. I've got another one here who built their house out of some leaves. I'll show you this guy. So here's another one. He's got a house that he made out of pieces of leaves. And then in this cup, which I was surprised to find actually, I have got some little tiny clams. I did not know I had little tiny clams. There was just a few clams. When I dug down, I found some clams. Now you can see those copepods swimming around again too. There's little dots. Little dots moving around are the copepods. So those are all the animals that I found in my swamp, and I'm going to go let them go because I think they'll be much happier in my swamp. So it's fun to look at these things, but always put them back. Just look at them and then let them go because they have a life to live. And they all have an important role in the swamp. All right, so swamps are pretty cool.